Get started. All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Missy Hides, and I am an independent consultant with Arbonne, as well as your National Vice President. And this is our Sunday night, our weekly team huddle. And so if this is your first huddle, we want to absolutely welcome you to the call. This is the community that you are now a part of, and our Sunday night team huddles is just a place that we can gather. It's a place we can encourage one another. It is a place where we can learn, share stories, and really just pour into each other's lives and be poured into. And so our Sunday night team huddles are one of my most favorite parts of the week. And so tonight we're going to talk about bringing your very best or giving your very best. And there is an awesome clip. If you haven't seen it, or maybe if it's been a long time since you've seen it, from a movie called Facing the Giants. And I would recommend that after we get off the huddle tonight, that you go to YouTube and you find this video clip. You can type in Facing the Giants, and I think you can even just type in give your very best, and this little clip will come up. But it's just a clip that's really powerful. It's a clip about pushing past what you think is possible, pushing past what you've ever done before, for yourself, for your business, and your life. And I just love that clip. It's kind of an emotional clip of a high school football team, and particularly for one player who is a leader on the team, who, whether he realizes it or not, is setting the tone and the example for the other people on the team, his teammates. And so we're going to be sharing some stories tonight with you all. You're going to get to hear from some different people on the team who in these last 24, 48 hours of the month, they chose to give their very best, and what that yielded for them. Because there can be a tendency to, at this point of your business, or maybe you experienced this earlier in this week, and you can feel like your goal is too far off. You can feel like this isn't going to be possible. You can feel like I just don't know how it's going to happen. So instead of continuing to press on and continuing to press in and continuing to press forward, you can be tempted to quit. And you don't actually ever say, I'm quitting. I'm quitting the month, right? But what quitting looks like is not continuing to fight for your business, not continuing to just push a little bit further, to make one more follow-up, to send out one more text, to try to get in front of one more person. Okay, and so that's what giving your very best is. And before I hand it over to a few of the people that I wanted to share on the team tonight, I did want to share something about giving your very best, and it's a little bit different, but it's in regards to why I'm not on the camera tonight. And it's because I'm in a car, and I am about an hour from my house, and I'm finishing up about a 24-hour road trip to Alabama. And I drove to Alabama yesterday afternoon after taking my oldest to a cross-country meet and running all over the course with her, and then dropping her off and getting on the road to do a launch event with a brand new gal on the team last night, and then again this afternoon, and then heading home. And I wanted to just chat for a second here about traveling for your business, okay? And if you're new on the call tonight, and the person that shared Arbonne with you told you that you can run this business entirely from your phone and you can just do it virtually, I want you to know you can absolutely do that. You can absolutely do that. But I also want to tell you that there is great benefit in being willing to go and launch and build business in places that aren't right in your back door, okay, or in your backyard. And I can just tell you from my own personal experience that we have teams now in Alabama. We have teams in Minnesota. We have teams in Illinois. We have teams in Missouri. We have teams in California. We have teams on the East Coast, on the West Coast. We have teams all over. And many times those teams were started with an initial virtual reach out, with a text, with a sending of a video, something like that. But there was also seasons that came where it was worth it to travel to that consultant in order to get them launched, or in order to help them kind of get to that next level by doing some training, by doing some team events with them. And so why I want to share that with you all is because I know that there are many of you on the call tonight. There are many of you in this team who are ready to give your very best. You're ready to level up. You're ready to go to that next promotion level. And if you're new on the call tonight, I'm not sharing this to scare you. I'm not sharing this to tell you you have to start traveling now to build this Arbonne business. But what I am telling you is I'm just going to ask you to be willing to maybe stretch yourself, to give your very best. And that might look like driving an hour to go do an Arbonne event. It might look like driving an hour to have a coffee appointment with 3 or 4 ladies or guys. It might look like driving 4 hours one way to launch somebody and then drive home. I know that I just saw Edie pop up. And when we were getting her launched, she was living in Arkansas on a college campus. And Lori Huffman and I made multiple trips to go get her and her team set up. Was that worth it? Yes, absolutely. Has it been worth it every single time I've traveled? Yes. Is it immediately evident if it was quote unquote worth it or not? No. But what I can tell you is that if you're in a season where you can travel, and some of you might not be, some of you might be like, I have a brand new baby. I cannot go and leave my house. Some of you might be college students and you just can't miss class, or some of you are working full time and you really cannot, take time off. That's totally okay. That's not who I'm speaking to. I am speaking to those of you that do have some time. You do have a season of your life right now where you could go and you could travel 2 hours one way on a Friday night, do a party, and travel home one way. I just did that last week and launched a new gal. Obviously, you want to make sure it's good with your family, right? You want to get your family support. I don't ever take a trip without talking with my family and having my husband and my girls, like, we're all on board with this. This is a family business. But realizing that these short seasons, these short trips of sacrifice can build incredible depth and longevity in your business. Because here's the thing, we all live in different climates. If, like, I just saw it snowed in Montana, which seems so crazy to me that it snowed like in Montana, it's not even October. But if your whole team is in Montana, your team might slow down for a little bit, right? But if you're here and you've got some team in Montana and some team in Texas and some team in Maine and some team in Florida, then a school spring break or a school holiday or a storm isn't going to take out or slow down your whole team, right? It might just slow down a little pocket of your team for a little season, okay? So I just wanted to share that to kind of put that out there to challenge you all a little bit, to think about, to chew on. Are there people in my market? Are there people in my network that if really I was willing to go to them, I could get them launched in this business? They would say yes if I went and spent a little bit of time, 24 hours, 36 hours, getting them up and running. Or maybe they are not the ones, you guys, that are going to join your business, but maybe they're going to lead you to somebody that's going to join your business. And maybe you've got some great family members, some awesome best friends, some cousins, some old college roommates, and they're not ready to say yes to this business, but they are willing to get you in front of a few handfuls of people, and they live in another city from you, or they even live in another state. What could that do for your business? What increase could that bring to your business? Okay, so I'm just sharing that to share that with you all, not to scare you. If you're like, I'm going to run this business 100% from my phone and never travel, you as an independent consultant have the absolute ability to do that. I'm just telling you from my experience and why 15 years in as a national vice president, I still make trips like this, is because I believe that they are always worth it. Okay. So, and you can talk to your upline about that and maybe, say like, after Missy said that, it kind of made me think of some people, and they can give you some guidance on, yeah, maybe that would be a good trip to take, or maybe why don't you try to combine it up and do a couple events to maximize that travel time. So without further ado, because I want you guys to hear from about 4 or 5 people. I think that's how many we have, 3 or 5 people. Just some stories of facing a goal that seemed kind of far off and what they did. And so the first one that's going to kick us off is ERVP Lori Huffman. So Lori, if you want to unmute and share with the team, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Well, good evening, everyone. So I was just thinking through, and I'm going to talk specifically about when I went into qualification for RVP. So those that are new, it is the third of 4 levels, and to reach RVP is 40,000. And I know when I started, 2,500 seemed like a crazy high number. So as you in Arbonne, for some reason, the numbers feel smaller the longer you stay in. And that still was a daunting number for me. So just to give you a snapshot of what even the last 24 hours can look like. And then I'm going to go into real quick, just some tips and things that I want to share. But that day, so the day that I went into qualification for area, I was sitting at about high 20s the night before, 32,000, pretty much all day. And it hadn't moved. And I kind of in my mind had accepted, I'm totally good with if I don't go into qualification, because I know I will next month, because we were doing enough work, we were doing the due, and I knew it was just a matter of time, because I knew I was committed, I wasn't going to quit. So for me, I was doing the work anyway, and I was just going to go as far as I could, because that's the way Arbonne works. You exponentially grow. And I pretty much was at 33,000 all the way into even the late afternoon, and I was just doing the work, and I had just come back from a trip to Michigan. I'm originally from there, and in that season of going into qualification, I pulled out every step. I asked every person I knew, can you do me a one-time favor and just let me host and present? And I actually drove to Michigan by myself, left my family behind, and I said, I'm here, I'd love to visit with you, Mom and Dad, but I'm just here to work. So can I just camp out at your house? You're not going to see me much. I'm just going to work. And I had 4 events booked in a 3-day period. And I will say that there was no amount of crazy QV that came from that party. There was, and probably more so, because it was a short time, but just the activity really transformed my month. So I got home and just a lot that was going on, and literally crossed the 40,000 finish line. And I was so shocked. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen that video, and some of you were live that evening, that in my mind, I didn't think I was going to get there. I was positive and I wasn't negative at all. I just was going to just keep doing the thing. I had an overview in the middle of close night and just was doing the thing. And all of a sudden it just went up. And so whatever you're sitting at, know that there is exponential growth that happens in the last 24 hours. And I used to think it was kind of crazy, but now like Arbonne time, it like slows down. Like it's super fast, but yet it slows down, that it will be noon and we're like, oh, we got 12 hours. That's like 4 days Arbonne time. You can get so much accomplished in the last few hours. So with that, I'm just going to give you a quick few tips. Trust the process. That was my mantra all last fall. Actually had bracelets. A lot of my team got those bracelets at my event. I still wear that. Trust the process. Even though it's not an immediate QV result, it's not maybe an immediate sign up, just doing the do will get you to your promotion or your qualification. You just have to do it anyway. And same thing, we did a trip with Edie. We did literally went to Nashville, then we drove to Tennessee, went to Arkansas. Again, nothing really major came out of that, but just the fact that we were in activity, it kept our emotions high, kept our excitement high, kept our mindset, focused. And so that's the thing, is trust the process, doing the do, even if there's not an immediate sale or return. That's how we operate. Secondly, you're gonna just have to do more. If you can do one more thing, even though you've exhausted all things, what's the next thing you can do? And that was something I found myself, I reached out to every single person that I kind of even breathed to Arbonne, because you have to remember, this is not in their priority list at all. And I found that, we think about Arbonne a lot, especially for building or trying to promote, we're thinking about it a lot, but it's not on the radar. So sometimes that little reach out or a text, it will prompt people to go, oh yeah, I've been meaning to do that. And just those little things, you'll start to draw people to you, and that activity will come. And then the last thing is just be super hyper focused. You have to be laser beam focused. And I remember there were times that I would take a break and talk to my family, whatever, but there were many times that I had a lot of things going on at one time, and my husband would walk in the door and he'd be like, hey, we need to talk about this bill. And I'd go, no, not today. Like, I'll talk to you in a couple days, or when I take a break. But sometimes you have to be just that laser beamed, hyper focused. And there's one picture, I have it on my phone. It's been around for a long time, but I love this picture because it signified what you feel like when you're going for that promotion. And there was, it's a picture of Michael Phelps. He is a Olympic medal finisher and world class swimmer. And basically the picture is of him and his competitor side by side. And Michael is in the middle of his stroke, but he's focused on the goal. And the competitor I think the background is doing the same stroke, but he's looking at his competition, which is Michael Phelps. He was taking that split second to look, where am I at? And it kind of goes back to that clip that Missy talks about, when he's crawling through the grass. You have to be so hyper-focused on what you're doing that you're not looking to the left, you're not looking to your right, you're only focused on the goal. And nothing is going to get between you and the goal. And if you do that, and even if you don't reach your goal, you're going to be 10 times further than you would be if you got distracted or just said, I'm going to next month it. Because that never serves anyone. It doesn't serve your team. It doesn't serve your business, and it doesn't serve your upline. And that's what we want to do. So just having that hyper focused, and I'll never forget the quote. And this is something I hear Missy say it. And I remember her saying it when I'd get a little stressed out about it. And she said it actually even with earning AIT. When I looked up my numbers, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so far from earning AIT. And she says, Lori, just put your head down and do the work. And I hear that. There's many times when I get frustrated or I'm like, oh, I'm not close to this goal. I hear her in my head, Lori, just focus, keep your head down and do the work. And that's what you got to do. You just do the work. You just keep doing the next thing. And you'll get there. I think it's when we just kind of let our foot off the gas and we get frustrated, and then our mind starts to get all mucked up, and then it doesn't go anywhere. So that is my tips, my recommendation for you guys, because I know you can pull out crazy stuff in the last 24 hours, and it is super exciting.
Yeah, that's totally awesome. Lori, when you were sharing that, would you share with the team your first close that you remember coming to at Tara's house? Because I think it gives good and I'm maybe in a bad spot, but I think it gives good perspective, like what you thought it might look like and what you grew to like becoming it, how you have people shorten that.
Yes. Yeah, Missy, you were breaking up, but I think I know the premise of where you're going with this. So yeah, my very first close party, Tara posted that people were invited to her house for a close party. And I was like, okay, great. And I walk in the door and it was another consultant that was kind of newer, and we're chatting and we're all both kind of dressed up. We had our makeup on and, cute shoes and whatnot. And we came and sat down and I was like, Tara's in sweatpants. I'm like, okay, well, we must be getting started later. It's just super casual party, no big deal. And she says, oh, well, you can plug up your laptops and your phones. Like, we'll just sit around the table. And I was like, oh, I didn't bring food. I felt bad because I'm thinking we were getting ready to go either out or we're going to have a party there. And a closed party is not really a party. It is now. It feels like a party. I love getting together and seeing everyone. We do eat snack food and stuff. But the closed party is we show up and we do hyper-focused work. We reach out to all those people, like usually a few days leading in, a week leading in, you start reaching out to those people, those loose ends, those people that maybe you dripped on earlier in the month, or they said, oh yeah, I want to order something, just remind me. Those are all the people you're going to be continuing to reach out to. Sometimes I'm still doing my asks. So like if I have a couple of people that pop up in my mind, I will still ask them to look at the business. But most of the time we're wrapping up and scooping in the last orders. And sometimes we know because we have a limited time that everyone's still awake, we will focus on the reach outs, and then we'll collect those orders up until 9, 10, and 11 o'clock. And then we're starting to look at like who's in central time zone, who's in Pacific. But we continue to work hands on our computer screens, on our phone screens, and are working to scoop in QV and reaching out to people. I'm usually calling my mom, like, hey, is there anything you need? I'm putting orders in. Hey, is there anything and I just reach out to everyone. And now I know what a close night party looks like. And the best part is we do exactly what we're doing here. We're all sitting together. Everyone can see each other's faces. Sometimes there's a few people in one place. I know Megan sometimes has her gals all there, and we'll all sit together so we can all sit and make jokes back and forth and laugh at each other, stuff in our faces with food and all that good stuff. But that's what a close party. So yes, it is the ongoing joke in this team that I showed up for a party and not so much to work. Now I know better.
Yeah, I love that story. I just think it's so awesome. And really, it was a failure on my part as the leader to explain what the closed night party obviously was. But yes, it is a work party. It is where, and I've had people that aren't in Arbonne, they're like, well, what are you doing? Are people really giving you orders at 9, 10 o'clock at night? And they 100% are, you guys, because
Yes.
at 10 o'clock at night, at 10:30, they're laying on the couch or in their bed, and you text them and they're like, yeah, I totally need a whole new RE9 set. Thank you for reaching out to me. Here's a picture of my credit card. They love that we are giving them customer service when they're tired and exhausted. And so, you have to kind of know your audience. Obviously, I'm not texting people who I know have to get up super early for work the next morning, or some of my older clients, but there are lots of people that we can be reaching out to. So that's awesome, Lori. Thank you for that. All right, next, Tara, if you want to unmute and share, we'd love to hear your story.
Sure. I'd be happy to share. So I am in North Dakota, and it is freezing cold here. It's like 42 degrees. And so I've been here for like 48 hours, and my body temperature is still adjusting. So if I start to chatter, it's only because I was living in 97-degree weather like Friday night, and now I am not so much in that. So I'm bundled up in slippers and a blanket. And have multiple layers of clothes on. I should find some tea. That's what I really should do instead of drinking ice water, but that's all good. So some of you may not know my connection to the team, or you're not really familiar with my story, but I'm actually Missy's sister. And I can tell you lots of things about how much better I am, but you can just take my word for it. I'm just kidding. But if you aren't familiar with her story, or you haven't heard our story, I will just recap it by saying that I was the first person that she reached out to, and I was the first person that told her no. And not only no, but I remained a very hard no for almost 8 years to doing anything other than being a consumer. So I was a super supporter of hers, but I wanted nothing to do with the business. And when I finally made the decision to get over myself and what I thought others were going to be would think about me, and realize that nobody was thinking about what I was doing or what they would think about me doing something like this, I started building an Arbonne business. And that was about 6 years ago. I became a district manager in about 2 months. I became an area manager in about 11 months. And it was a great start to my business, and I was super excited to see what was to come. And some of you may know that there are lots of Arbonne events available for us to attend. There's retreats, there's conferences. Some of them are provided by like the company. They're sponsored, like the Global Training Conference or Impact Training, if any of you went to one of those recently. But there's also some that are organized just by like field leaders. So there's one coming up in November that is for is sponsored by one of our uplines. It's an AM, like an area manager VP retreat. It's down in Florida. And then there's another one that's called the Green Bay Leadership Retreat, and it's held in Green Bay, Wisconsin every year. And it's organized by Executive National Vice President Donna Johnson, who is also one of our uplines. So at the time of my area manager promotion, all area managers and vice presidents were invited to attend the event. So I was super excited that the next August, I was going to be able to go. And so I went, and I will tell you that I was blown away by the content. I was blown away by the community. I had never been to something like that. And I had been in corporate America for 8 years prior to being in Arbonne. I'd been to fitness conferences after my retail career. But there was just something about the feel of the people in that room that I thought, this is my favorite Arbonne event. And I knew I would look forward to it every year. So after attending the event, I was able to attend it for several years as an area manager. I knew I just never wanted to miss it. It would always be something that I wanted to put on my calendar, and I would always look forward to it every year. Well, at the end of 2016, my business had grown stagnant. No other fault but my own. And by the spring of 2017, I actually was no longer an area manager. I'd lost my title, I'd lost my pay, and I was pretty sad. I was frustrated, more like just stupid at yourself because it's your responsibility. But more than that, like I was just really disappointed at the possibility that like I wasn't going to be able to go to the Green Bay retreat that fall. And I thought, this is your favorite event, and if you don't fix it, you can't go. Like, it's not like you can sneak your way, in. Or it's not like an impact or global training conference where like it's open to anybody. Like, you had to have the title, and the pay to be able to go. So as the spring, it was that spring, I was coming to an end, and I realized that I only had a couple of months to make this happen. So you have to become an area manager, it takes 2 to 3 months. And so I knew I had a limited window. So I made a decision. I knew I had a choice to make, and I made the decision. And many of you, it actually was just shared in the call I listened to last night by Ian, or National Vice President Ashley Stone. But it just says, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And so I got to work. And in June of that year, I requalified for area manager. But just because I got into qualification didn't mean that I automatically got my promotion back. I still had to work to finish the promotion. So I had the first step done, but I had 1 month. I had July, because by July 31st, I had to have the promotion in order to be able to go to the event in August. So on July 29th, I had 3 days left in the month. My goal was really far away, like really far away. The volume wasn't coming in. I didn't see how what I needed and what I wanted was going to be possible. But I also knew that I wasn't going to quit, because if I quit, then I would ensure failure. Like, I didn't know what the next 3 days was going to bring, but if I stopped working, I knew that I wouldn't achieve my goal. So I had a choice at that point, that I could either keep moving forward and get as close as I could with the possibility of completing it, or I could quit and know for sure, like, well, it's not going to happen. Except there was no truth in that statement. Like, the possibility of not getting there was the same as the possibility of getting there, because I had the same amount of time. So on the morning of July 30th, so I had 2 days left. There's 48 hours. I reached out to Miss, and I just said, like, I need a plan. These are my thoughts. And I knew that I could stay in qualification for area manager. So if you aren't familiar, it's 10,000 every month over 3 months, or you can do 24,000 over 2 months. So I needed a large chunk to be able to finish, and I could stay in qualification, but in order to attend the retreat, I needed to finish. I couldn't just stay. So for 48 hours, I was really willing to do anything. I made the decision to forego some right now commission money. I made the decision to do what was best for me and my business, and offer some amazing just promotions and specials to my clients, my preferred clients. I even reached out, you all, to people who have consultant accounts who aren't business partners. Like, they said at one time they wanted to do the business, but they're not doing the activity, but they really like the product, so they continue to be consumers. Like, there was nothing wrong with me telling them, like, I'm offering something that you don't normally get access to, or you might not even know that you have access to it. But most people, if they're not active, they don't know the ins and outs. So when we call or we text them and say, like, do you know that you can get this stuff? They don't really have any idea that that's even possible. So I reached out to everybody that I knew. I also knew that the pace of the leader determines the pace of the pack, so that there is just something, and I can't explain it. I don't know how people know, but it's like the magic. It's like this magic thing that happens. But when people know that you're working as their leader, they are more willing to work at your pace or work harder. If you're not willing to work, it doesn't matter if they know that you're not willing to work, they're going to feel that it's okay to slow down. So I knew that if I set a pace that my team would respond. And I really was relentless, you all, in my reach outs. And I knew that over the last, 3 years, I had built an incredible network. I had an incredible amount of resources to reach out to. It was just a matter of me asking them. And I knew that I could do that. It just was going to take time. And kind of like what Lori shared, like it was going to be focused time. Like, I don't think I've spent that much time on my phone in 48 hours probably ever. And I honestly, like if I would have had a little bit more time today, I probably could have gone back and looked at the exact numbers. So I'm not sure exactly how far I was how far away I was at the start of the last day, but I know it was at least $5,000 in volume. It may have even been close to 6,000 that I did not have. So I needed 14, and I was sitting probably somewhere between like 8 and 9. That's a big gap, you all. Like $5,000 to $6,000 is what it is to become a district manager in 1 month. And I had 24 hours to make that happen. But it was the goal that I needed to regain my promotion. But more importantly to me at that point, it was the goal I needed to be able to attend this retreat that had become incredibly important to me. And I just remember as the hours were ticking along, like I just kept plugging away. And our stories are Lori and I's stories are very similar. And I'm sure the other couple gals are going to share will have similar comments too, but you kind of want to keep picking up your head and being like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But you just keep thinking, I'm just going to keep calling and I'm just going to keep texting and I'm going to keep asking. And at the end of the close night, the number that I needed appeared. And 25 days later, I was sitting in Green Bay being poured into, and so grateful for what I had done and what I had accomplished, and that I had proven something to myself that could have just as easily been not proven. And it wasn't about who I was or my identity, but it is just a matter of sometimes making the decision to know that not only are you worth it, but like it's worth it. Like, I don't think that specific Green Bay retreat was any more impactful than any of the rest, but I knew I needed to be there. And so I would just encourage you, really, I'm not going to say anything new that Lori hasn't already shared. But just as easy as it will be tomorrow at any point, even tonight, like it's 9:30 Eastern time, it's 8:30 Central time. Some of you, it might be even earlier. Like when the call is over, it doesn't mean that the day is over. Now, if you feel like you've done everything that you want to do today, then that's fine. Like it's not my place to tell you what to do. But at multiple times tomorrow, you're going to pick up your head and you're going to think this isn't possible. And if that's what you want to tell yourself, then it's not possible, because that's the decision that you've made. But you don't know that. There's no more truth in that statement, because you're just making an assumption based on what you have seen in the past, but you don't know when the seeds that you have planted are actually going to produce fruit. So if you quit, kind of killing the fruit, kind of killing the seeds. So that's my story, Miss. Thanks for letting me share.
That's awesome. Yes. And it is totally true that there is something mysterious and magical about the speed of the leader determining the pace of the pack. And so if you were sitting in a place and you're like, my pack is slow, then you as the leader need to pick up the pace. One thing to remember, especially for those of you that are new in close business and you're like, I don't even know what this is going to look like. You just, like, close day is a day where my kids eat peanut butter and jelly and I don't do house things and I maybe don't shower, and we just really work to scoop in all those loose ends and all of those things, because every little bit matters when you're working towards your goal. So Mel, if you want to unmute and share your story, we'd love to hear from you. And I can't really read them because I am driving, but I do love when you guys are like chatting and commenting. I think it's super fun. So keep doing that.
Okay. Well, I don't have a whole lot of you guys have shared so many good tips, and I don't have a whole lot of other words of wisdom because pretty much everything they said is awesome. So I am an area manager, for those of you who don't know me. And I will say, every one of my in qualification or promotions, except for actually crossing the line to area, have happened at 11:30 or 11:59 or midnight, the night of close. And so I remember, and actually now she's on this call tonight, she's a consultant now, but when it was 15 days into my business or so, and I was pushing for 3,000 for district, and really wanted to get there, set that as my goal, and had just kind of said, all right, well, I don't know, I'll throw it a lot, last few things. And sure enough, at 11:30, someone here on this call said, yeah, I'll do the 30 days or something. I don't think it was the 30 days because I didn't even know what that was at that point. It was I don't know. It was a few products, and they were like, yep, I'll do it. Let's do it. And that's how I got to that 3,000 goal. And that was in November of last year. And then I finished district December, so New Year's Eve, and Megan Reekin and I were sitting in a Starbucks on New Year's Eve, reaching out to people, working to finish that promotion. And actually we had this weird fluke where this girl ended up ordering under the wrong consultant, and so the QV didn't go under my name, and it was just this whole debacle. And I got kind of discouraged, but kept going and pushed through that. And sure enough, on New Year's Eve, completed district. So the cool story that I have that I just wanted to share, though, is when I completed area. So Missy had set out a little incentive of if you get to area by GTC, I'll pay for your ticket to GTC. And I was okay, I'm an incentive girl. You give me a goal, you give me a water bottle, I want that water bottle. Okay, that incentive, that was enough for me. And I was I have to go to GTC as an area manager. I have to. And I don't even really remember getting into qual, which is kind of dumb of me to not remember that, but oh well. What I do remember is when we were pushing to complete. So to get into qualification for area, it's 10,000. And then if you complete in 2 months, the second month is 14,000. And that's what I had to do in order to go to GTC as an area manager. And 3 days before close night, I was sitting at 8,000, which means I had a lot more to go. And I remember thinking, oh boy, I don't know if I'm going to get there. 6,000, that's a really big gap. And I think this was the time too when we had these awesome other national vice presidents popping in on our page, and I don't remember her name, but she's amazing. And she said that there needs to be a God gap in your goal. So don't shrink your goal for what you think is possible. There needs to be a God gap. There needs to be, your gap in your goal needs to be big enough that it freaks you out a little bit, that you're I have no idea how this is actually going to happen. But I also remember waking up that morning, 3 days before or 2 days before close, going, this is going to happen. I just had this weird excitement and peace at the same time, just feeling this is going to happen. And what happened was it took the team, right? It wasn't just me. It took our whole team deciding we're not throwing in a towel until, yes, Sarah Wilson, she's amazing. Thank you. It took all of us rallying and saying we're not calling it at all. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but what I know is that on Friday, I think it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. On Friday, we were at 8,000. Saturday, we were at 14,000. So finished area over 24 hours before we had to. So that was like, we did 6,000 in like 24 hours. That's crazy. I still have no idea how that happened. I can't totally explain it. It just all of a sudden was like, whoa, here we go. And then you guys, we finished that month at 22,000. 22,000. We went from 8,000, me going, I don't know if I'm actually going to complete this. Hopefully I can stay in qualification at 10,000 to 22,000 in a matter of 3 days with a team of like 4 working consultants. Like, anything is possible, okay? Anything is possible. And I remember just sitting there at close night and like still getting orders in at like, 10, 11, we're still like rolling in on these orders, and like my team, we're all like talking to each other and we're like, are you kidding? Is this still happening? And I was just looking at the numbers, like cracking up, like, is this real? Like, how is this? We were seriously just like in shock and awe that this was real life. And actually, this is so good for me just to like tell this story out loud again, because it like ups my belief again of like, wow, like this is what can happen. Because let's be honest, summer can chip away at your belief of like, oh my gosh, can like my goals actually get there? Like, ugh, that was a little bit brutal. But oh man, yeah, like it totally happens. Like there is magic that happens on close nights, you guys, I promise you. Just keep your hand to the work. And then, I jotted down a couple things that were just my little tips with it. Is one, keep an optimistic attitude. Keep a can-do attitude. I don't care if you are 5,000 behind your goal at 11:30, keep your optimistic attitude. Because you're still on the right track. Even if you don't hit your goal, like you are committed to this, to your promotion, whatever it is, you're committed, you're on the right track. And with that, then just keep your energy high. Like we attract what we exude, right? And so keep that energy high. It helps your team to stay committed. And then I just love the concept of just keep doing the next right thing. And I read this today. This book is awesome. I know a lot of us have been recommended to read this book, but it's really, really good. It's Dare to Dream and Work to Win. And I read this today. I sent this to a couple of my team members because it's so good. But it says there is a very surprising aspect to success. It is not how elusive and difficult it is. It is not how it can only be visited upon a few fortunate individuals. On the contrary, the most surprising aspect of success is how deceptively simple it is. Set your goals, do the next right thing, and don't quit. And like that is just literally it, you guys. So know that we all believe in you. We believe in the power of this business. We believe in the power of this industry. And so if you don't have that belief yet, you can steal it from us. But man, like anything is possible, you guys. And this is so fun. Like the energy is just about to just skyrocket. So jump on board. It's going to be really fun.
That's awesome, Mel. Thank you. Yes, and I remember that night for you, it was a ton of fun. And just to reiterate what you said, we do need to remind ourselves of every time these seasons have come and we have accomplished these things. And this is why it's important for us to share these stories with each other, because it's testifying. These are testimonies, you all, of what has happened in the lives of someone else's business. And you can know that if it has happened for them, it can happen for you. And testifying and a testimony builds each other's faith. This is how we pour into each other. This is how we build each other up. And so you can each say, okay, I've heard 3 stories. I'm about to hear one more. Doggone it, if it's happened for each one of these ladies, it can happen for me. I can have that story. I can have that same experience. And so it's just so valuable to have these stories and share them together. So Amy Gill, if you want to unmute and share your story, we'd love to hear from you.
Okay. Hi. Okay, Alex, jump down here. Okay, so I am like a crazy closer. When I was going into it, well, I already qualified for regional vice president, but I knew it was my last chance if I was going to walk the stage, and it was the last day. It was August. It was April 30th, and we were 20. God, Missy probably knows, but it was 20 some thousand away from finishing. But I wasn't going to stop. I mean, there was just no way we were going to stop. And it was crazy. Luckily, my mother was here that day because the next day was May 1st, which is May Day. So the kids had a big event at school. And thank God, because I don't even know. I mean, she took care of dinner, brushed her teeth, getting into bed. I have no idea what even happened that night. All I know is it was storming like crazy. And I was praying that I didn't lose electricity and Wi-Fi. I mean, it was like, I couldn't even see out the window. It was that bad. One of my team members was working to qualify for area manager, and he was at work at the time. He was sending me orders and pictures of credit card, everything. I mean, it was like madness. I couldn't even keep up for what was going on my phone. And then all of us were on this feed together, and we were just sending each other crazy stuff. And it was crazy. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. I reached out to everyone I knew. I mean, like everybody I knew. I mean, like there was no stone unturned. You know, it's like, hey, you know, and I was just like Tara said, you run crazy promotions. You know, you just don't worry about the commission at that point. You just want to get to where you said you were going to be. And I said I was going to walk the stage. I had those stinking shoes that I was going to wear that for almost a year, and I was going to do it. I mean, one way or another, I was going to finish. Everybody keeps saying midnight. Well, we had, you know, we're here in Central Time, St. Louis, so we had till 2 a.m. So I knew we had till 2 a.m. to finish this thing, right? Oh, thanks, Edie. But yeah, so we had till 2 a.m. And I mean, honestly, Scott and I were on the phone with each other that he was trying to qualify for area, and it was madness. I mean, like it was like the biggest blur of, I had stuff all over the dining room table. I had stuff everywhere. I mean, it was crazy. And we were working up until, I know at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm actually on the phone with Scott and his wife trying to put in orders in. I mean, just like, we're just crazy. I drank so much fizz that day. I don't even know how many I had. And anyway, and it was like 1:30 in the morning, and we finished. I mean, it was serious. It was like 1:35. I'm waiting. Scott said he put his last order in. He got to where he needed. I'm just waiting for those numbers to change. I'm like adding up on the calculator, you know, and I'm just like watching. And then I know Missy and Tara, everybody was on a Zoom. And I mean, I was delirious. I couldn't even believe that it happened. I'm like, kept looking at the numbers. I jumped on with them. It was so yes, just exhausted, but yes, blissfully exhausted. And it was crazy. It was so exciting. And, you know, I had this little saying, and it said, I didn't come this far to only come this far. And I looked at it, it's actually, it's a keychain, but I have it hanging in my bathroom. So I look at my mirror, and that's where it sits. But anyway, but no, I knew that I had not come this far for qualification to honestly let it go. I mean, I was going to do it. And yeah, you reach out to everybody. I mean, I just, you don't leave any stone unturned. I mean, my husband and I had a conversation by the pool today, and, you know, and I told him, and I said, in no uncertain terms, I said, by December 31st, I will be a national vice president. And he said, what do you need to do that? And I told him, and he goes, where are you now? And I told him, and he said, really? And I said, yeah. I said, you know, I have quit listening to anything else on the radio other than SoundClouds with Debbie Neal. She plays in my head constantly. I mean, I am just like, between that and networking in my social media class, which if anybody's seen, I've been doing some lives. So I'm trying to get some more people out that way. So I think it's being so focused on what you want. I mean, I know next year is their 40th anniversary, and I'm going to walk that stage again. There is just no doubt in my mind, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to take a team of people who are going to walk it as well. And it is just being so focused on what you want. And hey, I have to say, I don't know if anybody else pays attention to everybody's picture on here, but Christy, oh my God, you were in the hospital bed. I don't know if you're in labor or if you've had the baby or what is going on, but I just, if anything, it's like that image of you is going to be seared in my brain for all tomorrow till 2 a.m. until I go to bed. Because if you were in the hospital and you were on this, boy, I know you're in the hospital, I can tell from the picture, and you were on this call, I mean, it's like I want to like screenshot it and like send it to the rest of my team that is not watching this. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable, your focus and your determination. I know I had so much fun talking to you in Chicago. So yeah, so that's just awesome, awesome, awesome. But anyway, so that's my story. I kind of talked as fast as that day went. But anyway, so I hope that helps. Don't stop, because like I said, it's all a mindset. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. I think one of the calls I listened to Debbie Neal, I think they did like 60,000 in one day. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that SoundCloud, but it blows my mind. I mean, absolutely anything is possible. So good luck, everybody, and just keep going. Like I said, you got till 2 a.m. tomorrow. So, or 1 a.m. or depending on what time zone you're in. So
That's awesome, Amy. Thank you. Yes, and you do have awesome energy, and you're so right on that last ending thought. It is the battle is always won in our mind. It is a mindset. And one of the biggest things that, as I've watched my oldest Maggie running cross country the last 2 years, is her races, really how she ends the race is the mindset that she has when she starts the race. And tomorrow is the beginning of a race for each one of us. And the mindset that you go to bed with tonight, the mindset that you wake up with in the morning, it is the largest determining factor of where you will finish tomorrow night. And if you believe you can, you're right. And if you believe you can't, you're right. And guess what? You get to decide what you want to be right about. There are always two pains. And if you've spent any sort of time with me, you have heard this redundantly, but I say it again, and I always say it for new consultants. There is a pain at the end of close night that a consultant will always experience, and you're going to get to pick which pain it is. There is the pain of regret. And the pain of regret is that I wish I woulda, shoulda, coulda done more, shoulda done more. I just procrastinated. I didn't make the right choices. I didn't prioritize. I didn't get in front of enough people. That's the pain of regret. You can also go to bed tomorrow night with your head on the pillow with the pain of knowing that you've given your very best. And like Lori said, whether or not the goal is reached, you have that pain of discipline, the pain of giving your very best, showing up, flipping every rock, offering every special that you could, circling back with every PC 7 times to, are you sure you know that you have a free gift on your list? And everybody, you all that has already ordered with you this month as a preferred client, their account has already been populated again for another free gift. Don't decide for them that they wouldn't order again before the end of tomorrow. Okay? Don't decide for them like, well, I already called them. They placed their order. Call them tomorrow and say, girl, I don't know if you realize that Arbonne's this awesome or not, but you actually have another free gift on your list. Would you like to use it? Would you have a friend who would want to use your account this month and get the discount and get the free gift? Like, get creative, but you can go to bed tonight with the pain of discipline, knowing you left it all on the field, knowing you gave your very best, knowing that you did everything that you could do with no excuses, with no blaming, with no justifying, just knowing that you did your absolute very, very best. And so our hearts is that you guys are encouraged, that your faith has been built, that your belief has been increased, and that tonight, like Tara said, you can make some calls, you can do some reach outs, and tomorrow we will have a blow your hair back, take your breath away kind of a day in your business. And how you finish a business, how you finish a month, is how you set yourself up for the next month. So anytime you say, well, next month I'm going to do this, if tomorrow by noon you kind of take yourself out of the game, you are actually diminishing the potential of what you could accomplish in October because you have finished weak. So choose to finish strong, choose to have the pain of discipline, choose to be all in with us, choose to get on the Zoom tomorrow night when we're doing the close and it's all the fun and all the crazy. And just know that you are a part of something so amazing and so fun, and so memorable. So thank you, ladies, for sharing. I love hearing your stories. It encourages my heart and just reminds me again of all the amazing things that can happen in these last 24 hours. So love you all so much. Have a good sleep tonight, and be ready in the morning to make it our best and biggest close yet. All right. Love you all so much.